Hey everybody, welcome to another video. I thought this would be a fun video to do while I'm on break for the holidays and in between semesters, and I just wanted to talk about a few things in Word and in Google Docs that will help you be a APA style master. Now, I know some people don't really care about APA style formatting and don't end up doing any formatting to deal with that, and that's okay. It doesn't matter to me. You're not going to hurt my feelings. My class knows what they need to do for this kind of stuff, but I just thought I'd throw in a few tips and tricks in both word processing programs, apps, whatever you want to call them, so you can do things great. So let's talk about some of those things. So first things first, let's talk about margins. So by default, thankfully, by default, for the last 10 years or so, in every Word version, we have an inch margin by default. An inch margin by default in both Google Docs and in Word. And that's wonderful because you don't have to do anything about changing the margins. You don't have to do anything about it. But if you do need to change your margins, well, the place to do it is rather simple. So in Word, we are going to go to layout, and then we're going to go to margins. And normal here is it's 1 inch all around. 1 inch in the top, 1 inch to the bottom, 1 inch on the left, and 1 inch on the right. Perfect. You just click that and boom, it's done. You don't have to do anything else. Layout, margins, perfect. Now, how do you do it in Google Docs? Well, it's a little bit more involved. It has to do with menus and things like that. There's no fancy little ribbon on top. None of these options do it. And, insert or format. You would think it would be under the format menu, but it's not either. You have to go to File, and then you go to Page Setup, and here it is. You actually have to put the values in here. But you can set whatever you do as default. Now, again, Google Docs, following the idea set forth by Word, is that our margins are going to be 1 all around. 1 inch on the top, 1 inch on the bottom, 1 inch on the left, 1 inch on the right, and that'll be pages. You could also go pageless. I don't like going pageless just because it makes things weird. But anyways, you can set that as default, and then you can hit OK or you can hit cancel. We already have that set up as our default. So we're moving on here. All right, back in Word. The next thing that I want to talk about with respect to formatting is page breaks. Page breaks. This eludes quite a few people, and that's all right, but it's really rather simple. Now, you insert page breaks to advance to another page without having to press a bunch of enters. Okay, so here I am pressing a bunch of enters. I don't want to do that because what if the text on this page changes? Well, that means all of the things that I do in the enters on this next page are going to change. So let me put here the word start. Okay, so it's at the very top based on the size of my font here. But let me add in some text, and I'm going to go on to a different line, and I'm going to add some lines here. And lo and behold, start is no longer at the top, right? So we don't want to do that. So I'm going to get rid of all of this stuff to get rid of the page, and we're going to insert a page break. Now, inserting a page break is rather simple, again, in Word, but it requires a couple of button clicks. Now, there are 2 places that you can find it. So if we're on the home screen, we're dealing with our text formatting, that's fine. We can go to Insert, and we can go directly to Page Break in Word, and that'll drop us here, and then we can hit Start. Now, watch as I start typing. And add a bunch of enters here, different lines, and Start is still at the very top of the line. Okay. Now, if I put on Show My Symbols, which is this button here, Show My Formatting Symbols, what you'll see is the word page break as a symbol. Okay. So I have all of my paragraphs. Periods represent spaces, right? And so paragraph is a new line. You can see all of that, and you can see this page break. And if I highlight it, you can see that it is quite long. Let me get rid of these things, and you can see that the page break is a invisible symbol. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and delete all of this stuff. I'm not going to delete the page break. Okay, and then we can do page breaks on a whole number of things. Now, I showed you under Insert, we can add that, but we can actually add in page breaks through the layout. So we were just here in margins, right? You can add in a page break under the breaks menu. And then this also adds several other layers of kinds of breaks. So there are different kinds of section breaks too, where you can change the orientation and have a landscape page instead of a portrait page in your document. But here we have, we can add another page break, and there you go. We can add the word start here, and then we can type in the middle of this, and it doesn't change that position. Page breaks are crucial for APA because we need page breaks going from the title page to our abstract to our body text. The body text has no page breaks in it. But then we page break from the end of our body text, so the end of your discussion section, the end of your conclusion, into your references, and then you page break from your references into appendices, page break from table to figures, etc., right? So page breaks are really, really important for writing APA-style documents. So how do you do it in Word? Or, excuse me, Docs. I just showed you how to do it in Word. So let me go ahead and type some stuff. Haha, this is fun APA formatting. Whee! So how you do this is you go up into Insert, okay? And you go down to break. Okay. Now, again, All of the breaks that I just showed you in Word are in the break sub-menu for Docs. So we have our page break. The great thing is that Docs has done a job and given you a hotkey for this. Look at that. Command Enter. I believe it's Control Enter on Windows while using Docs. So Command Enter or Control Enter. And we just hit page break. And we just include that. And we can do Start or V Start. And then I can do Command Enter. And then I have another one, another page. Oh my God, I have 4 pages now. Amazing. Amazing. Now, that's where we have all of that. Okay. And you can see that they are the same kind of length in between for page breaks. So let me do another page break. Let me show you this. So I can go up to View and I can go to show section breaks. Oh, section breaks is only going to show me section breaks. That's right. So View will not show section breaks. Okay. Okay. Clear formatting does not actually clear page breaks. That's interesting. There is no symbol as far as I'm aware. Compare documents, link, notification settings, accessibility. Yeah, I don't know. There isn't a symbols function on that, so I can't really show you. But so you can see that's a normal situation there. And if I add in a page break, it gives me that same length of space. If somebody knows where the symbols button is, just let me know. All right, moving on to the next one. All right, back to Word. Okay, moving on to the next one. All right, let's go to Home. Okay. This one is one of my pet peeves, and a few people that I know pet peeves as well. So you won't see it in my Word because I've already cleared the normal default. So I've changed normal so it doesn't happen. But when you open up a Word for the first time, let's say you're a fresh student opening Word for the first time, by default, the normal style, which is generally speaking the only style that people are familiar with, because they don't do any of these other styles, like why? You're going to have spaces at the end of your paragraphs. So here you can see that I'm entering in just a bunch of gobbledygook, but you can see that the spacing in between these two are the exact same. And my spacing here is 1, right? And generally you know what 2 is. But then we have these 2 annoying things: add space before paragraph, add space after paragraph. We don't actually want to do that. So I'm going to tell you how to turn that off. When you write this kind of stuff, it makes it look like the paragraphs are bodies unto themselves instead of one long flowing idea. And we want to change that. We don't want that. So we're going to go up to Format, and we are going to go to Paragraph. Okay, Format Paragraph, and this is going to be the same in both on Windows and Mac. We're going to go to Paragraph. Okay, here you have spacing. Okay, here we have before and after. That was the same thing I went to when I clicked on spacing and it said before or after. You want these both set to 0 point. Okay, because by default, Word adds this as 8. And let me show you what happens when we add 8 points. You can see here that there is extra space after this paragraph, right? So if I hit OK, I'm going to hit Enter. They look, you can see that extra bit of space right here. Okay, extra bit of space. And if I go to the bottom word, you can see there's that extra bit there, this extra point font, 8-point font right here at the bottom that isn't there quite yet after that. Okay, so we don't want that. We want to go up to Format again, and we want to go back to, let me highlight here this gobbledygook text. Okay, and watch what happens when I change the, I'm going to actually put this a little bit smaller. Watch what happens to these. These are 3 individual paragraphs. You can see it actually a little bit better now that the text is smaller. These 3 individual paragraphs, I'm going to go back up to Format. I'm going to go back to Paragraph. And I'm going to change this back down to 0. And watch what happens to this when I hit OK. Okay, pay close attention to this part of the screen right here. You hit OK, boom, look at it. Now they're all just a single space apart, as opposed to having that extra bit after the end of the paragraph. And for some reason, Microsoft sets that as the default, and it has been the default for like 20 years now. And we don't want that. We do not want that. Okay, so how do you do that in Word or Docs here? I keep messing that up. This is a paragraph. Oops, I forgot the word A. This is a paragraph. And then, again, I have it set to where we're not dealing with that. But we go to Format, and we go to Paragraph Styles and Normal Text. Okay, but we can go to Options and see what my defaults are. Okay, Line and Paragraph. So by default, this is something to note, that by default, Google Docs sets your spacing to 1.15. Actually, we want to change that to 1, right? So we go to Format and we go to that. And here is the add space before and after paragraph. We don't want that. So if we go to custom spacing, we want to make sure that this says 0 and 0, okay? Because remember, if we put in 8, which is the default in Word, watch what happens. There's extra spacing between these paragraphs. But if we get rid of that, we go to Format and we go to Line and Spacing and we go to custom spacing and we change that to 0. Watch in the background here, watch in the background as I hit Apply, they all smash together, okay? So remember, first things first, we go to Format, and we want to go to Line and Spacing. You need to change this from 1.15 to single if you're writing an APA style. And if, of course, if you need double spacing or 2.0, then you go to double. And then we want to make sure in our custom spacing, this says zeros. 0 before and after. Yeah. So that is number 3. All right. Number four. Number four is really important. It's actually very quick. Align your stuff left and center. Page numbers are the only thing that are right aligned. Nothing is full justified. Okay, that's full justification. Okay, same thing up here. Left, and you can see Command Shift L. Center is Command Shift E, and right is Command Shift R. Nothing is full justify, which is Command Shift J. Now that's the cool thing about docs, is that most things have keyboard shortcuts. These do not have keyboard shortcuts. Number five. This one is going to be about the header. In Word, you can double click in the header space to open the header and footer formatting ribbon, right? So this got added. So Acrobat is technically the last one. And when you hit close header and footer, okay, you get the header and footer on both, right? And all, okay? So by default, if you've got 1-inch margins, and your header and footer should be a 1/2 inch from the top and the bottom of the page, respectively. So the header is 1/2 inch from the top and the footer is 1/2 inch from the bottom. You want to have it show document text, so you know exactly how it's going to look with your text. But if you're going to do something on your first page that is different, so you're adding a running head, although if you're a student, you don't need running heads as of APA 7th edition. You just need a page number. Okay, so you want to click different first page, and that'll add in your first page header and your first page footer, and then everything else is header and footer. Now, if you do first page header, anything you enter in here is not going to transfer over to anything on the remaining pages. Okay, so just be aware of that if you check first page. Now, it's important to check first page header and footer before you start writing in it, because if you start writing in this before you check it, then anything you write in here will be removed from all of your other pages, and you'll have to do it all over again. So definitely check here first if your first page header is going to be different from your remaining page headers. Okay. Last thing for header in words that you need to worry about is the page number. So Word makes it easy. Okay. So so you can do header and footer, different kinds of headers. Okay. They have different templates for headers and for footers. Don't worry about those in APA style. The only thing you need to worry about is your page number. Okay. And so it brings up the page number dialog box. And so we're already decided that it's going to be in the header and that we want it right aligned, right? So we want it to be at the very edge of the page. So number on first page. Now we can format it as well. We can make sure that it's doing the kind of page numbers that we want. Now you may, if you're writing a book, you may want to use, your lowercase Roman numerals, so your I is there, dashes next to your 1s and 2s, although you would probably only use that in a center footer. Okay. You can include a chapter number depending on if you're using table of contents. This is way advanced stuff here. Continue from previous section. And then you can also have it start at a different number. You might want to use different number formats for different sections if you have different sections in your documents. Most of the time, not going to have different sections. So we're going to do that, and we're going to hit cancel or OK, depending. And then we're going to hit OK, and it's going to put the page number there. However, if we're writing, let's close that footer there first, or header and footer there for a second. But if we're writing in, let's say, Times New Roman, right, which is the serif font that most people write in, we can see now that my, if I double click again on the header, it brings up the header. You can see my particular number is not in Times New Roman unless you can tell that by sight. And of course, I've been doing this for so long that I can. This is definitely not a Times New Roman. I've highlighted it, and you can see that it is actually by default, it is Calibri. And so you want to highlight that to align these two, to make them consistent. And so we're going to go ahead and change that to Times New Roman, and that changes that to a TNR number 1 or numeral 1. We can go back to header and footer, make sure everything else is okay, and then we can hit close. And there we go. We have 1, 2, 3, and 4. You want to make sure, again, that this font is the same as your typing font. Docs. Headers and footers in docs. All right. So in here, we want to click on insert, and we want to go to header and footer. Now we have two different, I think these represent two different, unless that's Control Command 0, Control Command H. Let me see. Control Command 0. No, Control Command H. I think my my mouse thing is impacting. All right, so you probably can use those. I'm just my control is set for, yeah, both controls are set for zoom in. So, all right, very cool. Oh, look at this. It's the first time I've done this since they've added this. You can add watermarks now. That's awesome. So I got it there. Okay, perfect. Here is your different first page header checkbox. Check this before you type it, because we want to make sure that our header on our second page isn't going to be the same thing. There's options, header format, page numbers, and remove header. These are where you get those options that you see in Word when I go into header. These are the options, right? So here are header, page number, header format. So if we go into here, again, 0.5, 0.5, different first page, different odd and even. That's also the same here, different odd and even. Okay. Those are those options there. And then we have page numbers. I'm going to uncheck different first page because I want them to be the same. So we're going to go options. We're going to go to page number, show on first page, and we're going to choose. So by default, it's header. These are radio buttons, so you can only have the page number in the header or the footer. Okay. Start at 1, and then, or you can continue from the previous section. Those are the only things that you can do. So The one option that isn't available here is what its justification is, and that's a bit of a bummer. So you have to highlight it and put it over to the right side, the right side or the correct side, really, by choosing these options here or using the Command-Shift-R, Command-Shift-L. Okay, so you can see here that it is in the text. Arial is the default text font for Google Docs. Okay, but you can change this to we can change this to, doesn't allow me to type, so I will just go to Times New Roman. Okay, now you can see that I changed my font to Times New Roman for the body of the text. It has not changed for this, and I have to double click on it to get back my header. Okay, so I have to highlight that and I have to change it purposefully to 1 or to Times New Roman, right? And then if I click away from the header, there it is. And then if we go down here, there's page 2. Perfect. And you can see that it is exactly on the margin line. All right, number 6. Number 6. This one's important because it is useful for the reference section. So I'm going to type on this page here. I'm going to get rid of all of this because I'm just going to do it on this one. So we're going to call this references. Okay. Then we're going to go down a line and we're going to go to left justify. And I'm going to make this a little bit smaller, but it's still readable. Okay. So author 1 and author 2. Exactly. And then we're going to do 2022. So I'm just doing a thing here. All right, so I'm gonna. This is the title of the paper. Before I go into the next line, I want to highlight something for you. Okay, it's this device here. These are your margin and indent editors. Okay, left margin, left indent, first line indent. So the top one tells you where the first line indent is going to be on this page. Okay, by default, it's at the margin. The bottom one tells you where your left indent is going to be, or your hanging indent. And then both of them together, or 3 of them if you click. So top one is left. Okay. Middle one is hanging indent, and then the bottom one is where all lines start on the page. Okay, so this is the important one in the middle. It is where the hanging indent is going to be. Okay, and we're going to bring that into the a half-inch tab. Okay, this is the title of the paper, and now it's going to jump to the next line. Journal of Stuff. 3, 4, volume 3, volume 4, http. doi.org/cool memes. Okay. And then we highlight this stuff here and we're going to italicize it. Oh, there we go. Let's get, hey, I wonder if this probably is going to be a 404, but that's all right. So this is the title of the paper, Journal of Stuff, and you can see that my hanging indent. Now if I hit enter and I've got another one, author, and I should do a bunch of periods here just to show you what happens. Boom, a hanging indent. So the only thing you have to change here is the bottom pair, right? You leave the other one there and you put the bottom pair at a half an inch. Again, apologies to my metric folks. I'm not entirely sure what that is. A centimeter and a quarter, I guess. Okay, centimeter and a quarter, because an inch is 2.5 centimeters. So just throwing that out there. Okay, so that is for hanging indents. Let's do it in docs here. Okay, so again, it's actually not the same. It's not the same because here we only have 2 things. Okay, so I'm going to go here and I'm going to grab the top one. Okay, and that's going to do your first line indent. Okay, and just hovering over it, it says first line indent. So I'm going to put that back. Okay, and down at the bottom, is your left indent. Okay, so where's my hanging indent? Well, that is a bit of a hassle. That's a bit special. It's not as easy as this, unfortunately. You have to go to format. And you go to align and indent, and you find down here indentation options. Now, there's an increase indent and a decrease indent, which are these buttons up here. But you have to go to indentation options, and you have to do a special indent. And you can see here, first line, well, we can handle that with just moving this rectangle up here. So we don't need that. But what we do need is a hanging indent. And hanging indent is already defaulted to 0.5 or half an inch. Okay, so we're going to hit apply here, right? So we're going to do, we're going to grab this stuff here, and we'll see what happens with this as my... there we go. Actually, there we go. Yeah. So, this wasn't, this was too short, or too long, I should say, for the line, which is strange. Yeah, too long for the line. And so you can see that, that I've done that. Now, how would we do this? So I'm going to get rid of the hanging indent on these 2 lines, because I want to show you how to do this in docs, which makes a lot of sense for how you might write in docs a reference section. So we're going to take this, and we're going to actually remove that special indent. Okay. We're going to go to align and indent, indentation options, and we're going to go to none, and we're going to go to apply. Okay, so here I have 2 things, right? And then I'm going to, just do another author. You know what? I'm just going to highlight all this stuff again. Okay, I'm going to do that. Perfect. Wonderful. Okay. So here we go. We've got our author, and they're not hanging indents. There's no hanging indents here. I've got none. So what I need to do is I need to then make all of this a hanging indent. So instead of doing it the way that you would do it in Word, which is to set up your hanging indent to start, okay, you can highlight all of this stuff and go up to Format, Align and Indentation Options, and then go to Hanging and apply it, and it will automatically apply it to your entire list. Okay. So that's really critical for APA styles, this hanging indent. All right, number 7. Number 7. Imagine that this is Asthor. Or what am I saying? Asthor. Oh gosh. Oh god. Oh geez. That's hilarious. Let's say we have a reference list and it's nice and hanging indented, but it's not in alphabetical order. If you just type these in generically and you didn't use a reference manager or a citation manager or anything like that, and you can see that AU should be after AS, right? So we're going to highlight this all and we're going to go to the alphabetize button or the sort button. I mean, to me, it looks like alphabetize, but it's technically called sort. And we're going to sort that, and it's going to bring up our dialog here. Okay. Sort text. Okay, and we're going to go by paragraph. So it's going to look at the first letter of each paragraph. And these two are considered paragraphs, right? Because they're 2 first line indents. Okay, and we're going to do text, and we are going to choose, I believe, descending, right? Yes. No, maybe that's ascending. I guess we'll see, right? You can either have numbers and dates as well. Ascending, and we'll do that. Yes, it is ascending. I was a little scared there. It always, because going from A to Z, I guess, is technically ascending, but you never think about letters that way. You don't think of them as ascending or descending. So I always get confused. So that's me there. That's me, right? So there, I did sort, and it did by ascending, and so it put the as Thor, okay, as opposed to as Loki. But thank you, I appreciate that. I appreciate all of your chuckles. And then it put the one that is AU, the author, in the second place there. So you can do that in Word. How do you do that in Docs? Ooh, let's change one of these to AS, and let's change one of these to AA. All right. Now, as far as I'm aware, I don't think you can sort in Google Docs by default. It looks like you have to get add-ons because I cannot see where you do this. I cannot see where you do this. I've been looking around. I've been looking for around. You have to use add-on software, and so we're gonna go to. I'm gonna show you how to do this, and we're gonna go to extensions, get add-ons, and then we're going to get the sorting paragraph. Oops, God, I can't type. And we are going to get sorted paragraphs. Yes, this one here. Okay, and we're gonna install that, and we're gonna continue. I probably just cut that all out of the video, so we're gonna hit done, and so now it's there. So now I can go into extensions and go to sorted paragraphs and sort A to Z. And it will do that for me. Perfect. Just a little extra step that is not included in Google Docs that it is included in Word. So be aware of that. All right, number 8. Number 8 is really, really important. This involves track changes or suggestions. Track changes in Word, suggestions and edits in Google Docs. So I like using the comprehensive suite of track changes in Word. So I'm going to go ahead and activate track changes. So there are 2 ways to do this. Command-Shift-E or Control-Shift-E, I believe, on Windows, Command-Shift-E on Mac, or you can go into Review and click on the Track Changes button, okay? So first of all, I'm going to show you how to do track changes, right? So, let's say that we want Google.com, right? And so it's going to add in the sidebar here, and it's going to show deleted. Now imagine that I'm like, you know what? Let's use a period instead of an exclamation point. You overuse exclamation points, Dr. Swan. Yeah, I know I do. But that's all right. So we put in the period there. We don't need, the F doesn't need, the F doesn't need to be capital, right? So APA style format. No, let's add the O back. I deleted an O, let's add the O back, right? So here we have all of these formatting things, right? So how do we get rid of them? That is an important question. So in Word, to go through and accept every single change that me or your instructor or another proofreader or formatter does for you in Word, you go up to the Accept button under the Review tab. So we're still here in Review, okay? We're going to go up to Accept, but instead of clicking Accept, because that's just going to do it each and every single one, we're going to click on the down caret here for the drop-down menu, right? So we have Accept and move on to Next. Accept this change, but don't move on to next. Accept all changes shown, which is grayed out. Accept all changes, or accept all changes and stop tracking. So this is the advice that I offer my students in this situation. If you ever get writing feedback back from me in Word, it's going to have a lot of track changes in it, of course. It's going to have a lot of comments. Instead of rewriting in a different document, a clean document, you can continue to work in the same document, right? You don't need to to open up a new document and have a new document. I would recommend saving it as a different document name. So you have a pre and a post changes, including the changes that I made, right? So in essence, you'll have three documents, one that represents before any feedback, the second with the feedback, and then the third with your accepting of the feedback and the change itself, right? The changes themselves. So I always recommend accept all changes and stop tracking, right? So that gets rid of all of my changes. It's going to get rid of the sidebar if there are no more comments, and it will get rid of all of the edits that were made in the program itself. Okay, so that's a really critical thing to remember. Now, the other thing in track changes and commenting is comments. So I had comments by Command Option A in Mac. I am not entirely sure what the Windows shortcut is for adding comments, but you can also add comments over here under the Review tab. You hit New Comment, so New Comment, and then I can write over here in the comments, and then it's going to say that. Now, when you get a document back, you can do a number of things. You can delete all comments and documents. I don't recommend this, but if I select this comment, I can delete it, all right, or I can delete all comments, okay? I can resolve it, so if I resolve it, it'll gray out, or I could go to a previous or next comment, right? So previous or next comment. There is no next comment here. Okay, so this is what resolving does. It grays it out. It suggests to the commenter when they get it back that you have addressed the comment themselves, but decided to leave it so the commenter doesn't forget why they commented on it in the past. And you can leave it for the commenter to go through and delete, which is generally speaking what I do. This kind of the style that I do. So that's how you do changes in Word. Track changes in Word, both track changes themselves, adding them and accepting them. You could also reject changes. I don't recommend this, but and then commenting, adding, resolving, and deleting comments. We can also just delete this comment. You also get a drop-down menu to reopen or reply to. So if I reply to this comment, it'll be threaded. I can also then resolve the reply, and then I can just delete the whole thing or delete the threaded thing. Okay. So that's how commenting works in Word. Commenting in Google Docs is very similar, but not it doesn't get smushed like it does in Word. So Word will try to keep everything on the one page. If you've ever looked at comments on Google Docs before, when they start stacking, you'll end up seeing the comments on page 50 when the comment was actually made on page 3. That's what I dislike about this. But in any case, when you are in editing mode, no changes are made. Okay, so no particular changes are made. You actually have to go to suggesting to say what is going to be deleted. Okay, and so the comment here shows off on the side that I today am trying to delete these sets of periods from this. Okay, and then the reviewer can accept the suggestion or reject the suggestion. Now the commenting is very similar. You can add a comment by clicking on this button here, or engaging in Command Option M on Macs. I am not entirely sure what it is on PC, but Command Option M, right? And so this will highlight in yellow, and you can add in your comment, and you either hit enter or you hit comment, and it will post the comment. And the only button you get while you're in suggesting mode is to click this checkbox to resolve and hide it, okay? You can also reply to it, though, by clicking on it. And again, it will appear as a threaded it doesn't get indented like it does in Word, but it is contained within the same like little dialog box here. And so you can technically see that as threaded, but then I can, reply to different people who are working in this document. I probably you probably saw me adding the @ symbol and then cutting it immediately out. So double ats will give you your own email address. Okay. So that's how you do that. And then again, you can keep threading this as necessary. And then once you are done, you can either edit, delete, or get a link to this comment, edit, delete. Only the top vertical dots will give you a link to the comment. Everything else will be embedded within it, and you can click that, and there you go. Only viewing will only give you the ability to read or print. So edits. So again, editing this directly is not going to add any kind of suggestion marks here. Like we've got the green. Okay. All right, so this video is getting real long. There'll probably be a part 2 at some point, but those are 8 tips on how to APA format in Word and in Google Docs. I hope you found this particular video enlightening and helpful. Please stop and pause and go back and forth. Probably sped up my talking just a little bit. Should make this video a little bit shorter, but slow me down, speed me up, do what you need to do. Thank you for watching this video. Leave your comments, suggestions, questions, and feedback down below. In case I missed anything, I probably did, but leave that down below and let me know your thoughts. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.